welcome to Horror Boys, the #1 horror movie podcast on Downtown Kentucky's channel.
Easily. Good thing you clarified.
Easily, the #1. Also, the only one. But that's neither here nor there. I am Austin, joined...
I'm Chris.
Okay. I was doing a special...
How am I saying?
You just cut off my intro. Alright.
I don't think we've ever said joined by.
Yeah, I didn't, but it felt special today. I felt like joined as always by, and my bad. I tried to do something special for the podcast, but no. All right, we are.
That's correct.
We are. We are the Horror Boys, and we are going to be reviewing / discussing our thoughts, and which is also just a review. I'm realizing I'm adding words that are unnecessary. We are reviewing Friday the 13th, Part 3, 3D today. Not Part 3D, which would have been a much cleverer title. No, it's Part 3, 3D, which I'm disappointed. But yeah, so we're going to just kind of jump right into this. Which, by we're going to jump right into this, I mean we're going to discuss how the movie doesn't jump right into it. By golly, second movie in a row, we have another giant, long, stupid recap of the last movie.
Carrying forth one of the best tropes from the second movie, a 7-minute unnecessary recap of just raw, unedited footage of the movie that we watched previously.
I'll be honest, it was definitely more than 5, but less than 10, so I guessed 7. Also, little peek behind the curtain, me and Chris watched that scene at times 10 speed because we were not in the mood.
Yeah, I was like, is this really just going to be another recap of the movie we just watched? Can we just fast forward this? And also was like, yeah, we can. Like,
so we did. And unlike the last movie, which gets a little bit of credit for at least marginally making it narratively a reason it happened, this time it's just a recap.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it. Yeah.
Last time it was a memory. It was a
whoa,
nightmare.
Austin. Well, now they have a cool shot where Jason moves his hand a little bit.
Yeah.
And then there's the intro. So, they had to do that 7-minute recap so they could throw that extra scene in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And that is sarcasm. I think all of it was completely unnecessary. We could have just done an intro scene.
They just want to pad the time out. Because, don't worry, they padded out with a full credits following that, followed by the peak of this, which I'm sure they'd say is for suspense, but it's not. It's just a very, very long panning shot of this diner and then the hanging clothes for, what feels like another minute of just look at the stuff as the camera.
Okay. I don't know why, but the minute I saw the camera move over the hanging clothes with the wind rustling them, I thought oh, this is good.
Okay.
This is good stuff. It just felt different from the other movies. That was not a pattern that continued through the rest of the movie. No. Difference, I mean.
No, that's... Yeah.
But that part felt like, okay, this feels fresh somehow.
But you know what is a running thing in this movie? Throwing things at the camera just because it's in 3D.
Dude, yes.
When he's pitching up the clothes, and they just put the pole in the camera.
In your face.
What does that add? What did that add? Why?
Yeah.
Well, it's 3D.
Well, they'd be disappointed that I wasn't... Yeah. I thought, there's got to be a way that I can watch this in 3D on my regular computer. But I just felt like... I don't know about you. I feel like I was missing out on quite a bit.
Yeah. I was...
The sensation of a baseball bat right there.
The DVD me and Chris watched it on actually did have the 3D version as an option, but we didn't have 3D glasses, so we couldn't watch it. We had to watch it in classic 2D. It was very disappointing. Because...
I had to guess where all the 3D scenes were.
But at the same point,
it was pretty easy.
At the same point, though, it wouldn't have been better. I just would have had a headache from having to watch in the stupid blue and red glasses the whole time. And it would have still been just as annoying of oh, cool. That random pole in my face. Yay.
Lots of random poles in the face.
Yeah, there really is a lot of pole in the face. Which is not a euphemism.
That is not a euphemism.
Legitimate.
It's literally what has happened.
There's a lot of poles, handles, any other long cylindrical item that can just go in your face. That's what's in your face in this movie.
Yeah.
There's like 1 or 2 times where it's used well, and we'll discuss that when we get to it. Let's just kind of jump into the plot a little bit more, rather than crapping on the concept of it, which, trust me, it deserves some crapping on.
Yeah.
The guy who does the pole in the face, his name is Harold. And he has a wife who I don't think we ever learned her name.
Nagging wife.
Yeah.
One.
I believe her name is Edna, if I remember right.
I'll be honest, I think Harold might have said her name in that one scene where we find out his name, but I didn't write it down. So we'll go with Edna. Edna is watching a news report about the last movie, and even more recap.
Yeah, because, it was an axe-wielding killer.
Yeah, an axe-wielding, which he did
in the
not
last movie.
wield an axe at all in the last movie. No axe was used.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Media misrepresentation.
Yeah. Then she goes outside. Wait, where was that? Yeah, then she goes outside and is watched by Jason as she takes down the clothes. Then we have Harold. We cut to Harold. He's talking to his fish and eating fish food.
Dude. Harold is the filthiest
really
store owner.
He is disgusting. He has a rabbit.
He needs to go out and eat a bunch of other food in the grocery store.
Yeah, while holding a rabbit, he finds it just in his produce, and he doesn't seem to care. He's just like, get out of there. She'll be mad at you.
And I was watching closely because I was like, oh, it's a rabbit. Rabbits poop all the time. And sure enough, the rabbit did just poop on some of the groceries.
Yeah.
No, are you
His
serious?
tail just flips up and is a boop boop. Nice. That's
Dude,
what I
he just
expect out of Harold
Pez
and
on that
rabbit.
lettuce? I should have been paying attention to that. Wow.
Don't worry.
Another thing we
You
missed
got
out
me.
on for lack of 3D. Actually, think of how much that would have popped with 3D glasses.
He just shoots at the screen.
Yeah.
I'm honestly glad that wasn't in 3D. Then we come to Edna. She's back in the store, not the house. She's mad at Harold for eating junk food because he needs to lose weight. His doctor said so. Because we just really need to know a lot about these characters that are so obviously just here to be the first kills in the movie, but they're like, hey, you want a backstory? Harold, he needs to lose weight, but he doesn't want to. He wants to eat donuts. It's like, all right, cool. I care about Harold now. Let's cut to him having diarrhea and drinking whiskey on the toilet.
Yeah, it sure does do exactly that. It's a very wet,
The audio
sloppy
is-
diarrhea sounds.
Dude, yes, it's so detailed.
Yeah.
And this I did notice. He gets up and does not wipe at all. We just hear the worst liquefaction, just glopping terrible audio poop,
Yeah.
and he just gets up and he's immediately takes a swig and goes looking for the sound
Which
for a while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And which is kind of a theme of at least my opinion of the early parts of this movie is, man, does it drag. Because I wrote, after 2 minutes of walking around, Harold gets a cleaver to the chest.
Yeah. So start off the movie with just a super lame, vanilla cleaver to the chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Although it is
ask what y'all thought about
partially
that,
3D for a whole second.
Yeah. There is a shot of the cleaver coming down, and then it immediately cuts to it going into him, and you're like, I wish I thought a little longer. It was kind of okay, but all right, sure.
Yeah.
It cuts. Yes, it does.
But yeah, then Edna, she does the horror movie trope of looking for the person who's missing, which you just don't want to do. It's a bad idea. She goes looking for Harold, and she finds a rat. Just because we needed to have, I guess, a subversion of scare there. You're like, oh, what's she find? Oh, it's a rat on a stick. That might have been in 3D.
Scary.
I couldn't quite tell.
Albino rat on a stick.
It was an albino rat, yes.
It is a freaky looking rat.
It was
yeah, and it's
But,
you see it way like that, on that stick in front of
but
you.
why? Why was it even here? Why was this whole scene here?
It's for suspense.
Yeah, I guess. And
Because we care about these characters.
yeah, these characters they introduced to die, which I guess you could argue is all of the characters in the slasher film. But
That's a good point.
Yeah.
she gets her her sewing needle. Not so. I guess it's like a knitting needle, not sewing.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, a knitting needle through through the back of her head, like through her mouth into his hand. It's pretty kind of cool. Not like super cool, but kind of cool.
Kind of cool. Definitely better than cleaver to the chest.
Honestly, even that one death might be better than every death in the last movie.
Oh, you think? Yeah, the last movie was...
The last movie's kills were pretty crap. This movie, I will give it credit. They upped the kills.
You think so?
I think maybe not better than 1, but better than 2 for sure.
Yeah, definitely better than 2.
When it comes to kills.
Okay. In the kill factor.
Yeah, in every other aspect of this movie, it is hot garbage. But the kills are slightly upped. So it's like, all right, I'm into this now. Because the last movie, like we discussed last time, was just not as good as the first one. This one is not as good as the second one, but the kills are a little bit more over the top, so I enjoyed it slightly more than 2.
I'm trying to get all the kills straight in my head for this one. I remember thinking, and I guess we'll get to it, that one of them was a little bit unoriginal because it was again.
You you mean the classic third time they've done at post harmonica on a bed kill? No, we know. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Post harmonica on a bed.
Yeah, that's how we're going to refer to it for this whole franchise. So Susan doesn't come after us. Where were we? Then we cut to meeting some new characters. We have Andy, who he's kind of just there. He has a girlfriend. That's pretty much his character arc.
Yeah, their characters are that they are the couple that has a lot of sex.
Specifically, she's
that
pregnant.
Is their couple.
I believe.
She's pregnant, which is new. Yeah.
I mean, it's not actually like explored in any way that's meaningful. Just they mention it a couple times that she's pregnant.
That's a good point. It is.
They have sex.
Yeah. So and his girlfriend's name is Deb, or Debbie. We meet her as well in this scene. We also meet Shelly, who you may think, oh, new girl? No, that is the new Ned. I think quite possibly best Ned. I think I like Shelly. Maybe it's
it was all right.
Maybe it's the fat loser in me that sympathizes with him. But I liked Shelly. I mean, to a point. He's got his flaws, and we will get to them. But
he's still the Ned character.
He is
the
still
worst
Ned,
of all of the characters.
Still the worst character.
But maybe the best Ned that we've had.
And we also meet Chris, who we do find out later.
Who is not me, but the final girl.
Well, spoiler.
You're watching.
She's not the final girl. Wait.
Yeah, she is.
No, she is.
She is. Okay, I mixed her up with a different girl.
No,
she is. The final girl.
Then they go pick up...
it's very obvious that she's the final girl because she's the girl with a vehicle in the movie.
And also
her name is on the car. And
has some sort of romantic relationship with, like, the lead counselor, kind of older person at camp. So, although they're not really counselors in this movie, actually, I don't think. I think they're just at camp.
Yeah,
like at a cabin having fun.
Yeah, and it is Chris's family's cabin.
Yeah, and it's also not Friday the 13th. It is Saturday the 14th because this is happening immediately following the events of Friday the 13th, part 2.
Day after.
The day after.
Yeah, there's no big jump. Yeah,
it is not Friday the 13th. It is a lie. This is Saturday the 14th, a new franchise.
Another thing I forgot to mention, but good for Jason. In the one night span, he did manage to get a haircut during the movie
and a completely new face.
Completely new face. Shaved off the rest of his hair. He's just rocking the bald look completely.
Yeah. So those 4 characters we just met, they go to pick up Vera, who I guess is Shelly's blind date. They kept on we got you a date. And she's like, oh, who am I dating? And then she finds out it's Shelly, and she was very disappointed.
And Shelly just totally gets saved in that moment by the 2 stoners in the back of the van.
We got good old Chica.
The van's on fire, but actually, no, it's not. They're just hotboxing the crap out of it.
Good old Chica and Chong, as I wrote down initially.
Chica and Chong.
Because we didn't know their names.
Because you don't find out their names for... You find out...
Well, we find out Chuck's name.
Yeah, we find out Chuck a couple scenes later. But we do not find out that Chica's name is Chili for,
Chili.
Forever.
Yes.
My favorite winter meal and also girl's name, I guess?
Yeah.
Chili.
Yeah.
Which Isaiah is having for dinner today.
Fun fact.
Fun planning.
Right.
Fun planning. We actually he planned that for this episode.
It's his favorite character.
I did, in honor of In memoriam.
Yeah. So then.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Then there's sirens and they get scared, so they have to eat the weed.
And boy, is there a lot of it.
There's a lot of it, and every character is just scarfing down the stash of weed.
Well, it's tough for Dev because she's pregnant.
She's pregnant. She can't eat weed. Which I think might be the last time we find out we hear she's pregnant. Well, that's the first time.
Yes.
That might be the first of two. I think it comes up later when she mentions she can't have a drink or something. It's so unnecessary. Unless she's actually pregnant and they wanted to explain why the actor didn't want to drink in scenes. I don't know. But
Or it might have just been like a joke that, she was pregnant because she doesn't want to eat weed, which is, fair.
But he does
the first time she says she's pregnant is right when they're getting out of the van.
Okay, but see,
it's after they scoff at those kids.
Yeah, so it comes up more than once though. So I think she's pregnant. I think.
Yeah, I think that is the second and the last time they mentioned that she's pregnant.
Yeah, it probably is. Mm-hmm. So the cops actually aren't after them. They're actually going to the scene of the last movie's crime, and they're helping take out the bodies.
Not the last movie's crime. It's the scene of the intro with the Harold and Edna.
You're right. I did not take it as that, but you are right. That does make more sense. Then we meet We meet our new crazy Ralph for this movie, who's only an us scene. He's just crazy old man who's sleeping in the middle of the road and scares them with an eyeball he stole from the most recent murder.
Dude, yeah.
And he says, he's mostly just excited about the eyeball, and then goes, stay away! It's like,
this is an omen! An omen! And then he holds the eyeball up to the camera.
Which is weird, though, because he was, praising the eyeball as it was a gift from God, and then it became an omen when they're like, oh, yeah, I guess he's supposed to warn them. Throw that line in at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked Ralph better.
Oh, yeah.
Ralph made his comeuppance after peeking through the window.
I liked Ralph in movie 1. Ralph in movie 2 kind of was like, oh, okay, he's just staring at people.
He just wasn't there very long in movie 2. I mean.
But yeah, because he's an idiot, and he was just staring at people kiss for no reason. But that's not the point of this movie. That's the last movie.
This guy was, he was a strange Shakespearean type.
I think he did have a crap stain on his pants, so that was kind of cool.
That's nice. I didn't notice
that.
Dude,
how do you notice? That's okay.
Oh, God.
I've missed out on both of these. The rabbit and this guy.
I've got autism brain. Don't worry, that'll come up again. On
we have a story about that. We will get
to a detail that I really couldn't help but notice.
They all arrive at camp now, and Chris goes into the cabin, and a man who we find out is Rick just kind of randomly jumps on her and starts kissing her. Apparently they're dating, but it felt forceful and out of nowhere as it happened.
Yeah.
Well, she says almost as much. I mean, it's clear they know each other, but she says, she wants some distance.
Yeah.
A little bit. It's not quite clear, how long they've known each other, just that their relationship needs
I
more
assume,
development.
Looking at the two characters, he was probably, her, high school teacher or something? Because he looked like 50.
Yes.
Late 40s, not 50.
Still, he was every other character's 20, supposed to be acting like a teenager. That man looked 40. Why is he here?
And it's so apparent when they're all in the room together. And there's a couple scenes.
Chuck also looks a little old, but I think he might just have had a nice beard at 25 and look 25 and not trying to be a teenager like the rest of them. You know?
Yeah, whereas Rick just looked like a man in his 40s.
Dude.
And
yeah.
Then he also, as he's carrying her out...
Isaiah has left the podcast.
Well, he can still hear it, so I'll keep talking. And then as he's carrying her out, he calls her fat. It's like, you've gained a lot of weight. And she's like, oh, you jerk. Doesn't she call him a perv when he calls her fat randomly?
No, she calls him, you creepy jerk. And I was like, yeah, he is creepy. He's like a 40-year-old man that he's, made out with you.
All right.
He is pretty creepy.
Then they hear a scream. And they run to it. Everyone kind of shows up at this moment. And they find, oh my gosh, it's Shelly's dead. Nah, he's just joshing. He's fine. Because he's a crazy prankster. That's his character.
Dude.
Well, and then everyone gets really mad. Well, all the girls get really mad.
All the girls are really
and
mad.
The guys are like, well,
Everybody.
he doesn't know.
Yeah. He's got special needs. It's not his fault.
He's definitely got something.
They're mean. Everyone's mean to him, and I feel like he should have been the final girl.
Dude, you're right, actually, yeah. Like, we get the most sympathy built up for him.
There is a moment where I lose all sympathy for him. We'll get to it.
Yeah, when he reveals that he's an incel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so where are we? I hear the scream. It's not dead, Shelly. Vera and Shelly end up leaving the camp together in her bug. No, in Rick's bug.
Yeah, Rick's bug.
They go off. They leave town or leave to go to town.
Groceries.
But then we cut back to Deb and Chris having a very expositional dialogue scene of kind of non-importance. They just kind of talk, and it's like, all right, cool. They're talking. I mean, I guess I'm supposed to care more about the characters, but I don't really ever care about Chris, who ends up being our final girl. I just don't care.
Yeah.
There is
all of the movie. Yeah. All of the actors in this movie are terrible and
so bad.
Make it really hard to care about any of them.
I think Chris is a little bit better than the others.
Maybe marginally, but and therefore deserves to be the final girl. Sure, but also get a better actor than any of them.
Yeah.
Well, something interesting. I was watching this on Amazon Prime, and every time you move the mouse, you'll see a little trivia in the corner. And at one point in the movie, I saw that they made that lake or pond, and I thought that must have taken a lot of money. And they could have put that. They could have just shot it on an actual lake and put that towards better actors,
like one good actor,
better pizza, Papa John's, just a lot of better. Yeah,
yeah, I think Papa John's on the side would have made everyone act better.
Everyone would have acted better if they were eating Papa John's. Well, unless it's back then they would have, because I've heard from Papa John himself that it's not as good. That's a whole different story.
Did he say that?
The Papa John's gone crazy and I think reportedly ate 45 pizzas in 30 days to try to test to see. He's also got fired for being a racist, but that's not the point of this show to discuss Papa John.
Colonel Sanders afterward.
Yeah.
We cut back.
We're at the grocery store. Everyone sucks at acting.
Yeah, everyone sucks at acting. Vera and Shelly are there. Shelly tries to hand her his wallet. It falls.
The motorcycle gang shows up. Whoa.
Yeah. Whoa, motorcycle gang.
It's pretty tough.
They're tough. They're acting tough. They're angry at them. There's a real awkward scene about a condom and asking for it nicely back. And then we cut to outside. Shelly's trying to leave, but then he sees a guy who we find out 10 scenes from now is named Ali. He's there. He's mugging them, so Shelly tries to back up and go away. He hits the bikes.
Ollie gets
real angry, comes over, just straight up, puts a chain over his hand, punches the windshield out, and then does a real, 3D shot through the window.
Really cool fist through the window into the camera.
And then they drive off for a little bit, and Shelly goes, "No, that's not enough. I need to show that guy he's wrong." So he drives back with what seems to be the full intent to kill this man, to just drive up on him. Thankfully, I guess, maybe not, I don't know. Ollie jumps out of the way, and he only hits the wheel of one of the bikes, and then drives off, acting like he did something big, though, even though he didn't. I guess, I ran him off the sidewalk. That'll show him to mess with me, Shelly.
Yeah.
He did effectively impress Shelly to some degree.
That's true. Yeah, he didn't.
No, he impressed Vera.
Yeah. Shelly's the boy. I know it's very confusing.
Yeah, I know he has a woman's name.
And then we cut to what might be the most egregious 3D scene in the movie, which is the yo-yo scene.
Dude, the yo-yo.
Oh my gosh, the yo-yo scene.
Here's the thing. There was dialogue in that scene. I don't remember any of it, because all I could see was yo-yo, 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 for 2 minutes. Other moments where you're oh, cool, one shot to the camera, 3D camera. This one, they're well, that's a good one. Let's do that in a couple takes and just put it all in one scene.
Yeah. The dialogue is pretty scant at that point. It's like a 3-to-1 yo-yo to word ratio
It
in
might
that
be
minute.
for real though.
In
Then
amounts of time. Yeah.
Rick sees his car and gets really kind of like angry because his car's destroyed. He's like, I'm ready to leave. But
What happened to my car?
yeah, but Chris talks him out of it, so he doesn't leave. And then we find out that the bikers followed them there.
Well, before this point,
Oh,
we find out that Rick wears a cashmere sweater cape-wise around his neck.
I didn't notice that, but yes, is that the same?
Well, I just feel like he's a mixed-up character.
Is that the
because
same
on
blue
one scene,
Is that the blue cashmere sweater he wears later that straight up looks like Mrs. Voorhees' sweater?
Yeah.
it does look like Mrs. Voorhees' sweater. That might be significant. I don't know.
It wasn't.
But
I
we
don't
got him
think
in one
because they
scene,
never
like-
made it mean something. I felt like that could have been something they made, like even a second where Jason pauses and it's like, oh, no, that's a guy. I can kill him. No, just straight up not the same sweater, obviously, because like her sweater's like up a little bit higher on the neck. Whatever. It's close enough that someone on set should have been like, maybe we don't do a blue sweater, a light blue sweater in this scene.
It does look like that distinctive sweater.
Yeah, and it's like,
Yeah.
What stood out to me is that like he's like shirtless hauling hay bales on one scene, and then he's like driving a VW Bug with a sweater
Wearing a
around his
cashmere
neck,
sweater. Yeah.
and another, yeah.
that's fair.
And
I'm
he's
just a dumb
strange.
country boy.
I'm a dumb country
Now
boy.
let's go to the country club. Play some
That's the
golf.
connection.
They do
That's
call it a
yeah.
country club for a reason.
Yeah.
So the male bikers, they siphon gas from the van while Fox goes off to the barn. The first of many idiots who decide to go to this barn.
Yeah, the murder barn.
The murder barn, yes. She goes to the barn and she walks around a bunch because, when in
And
doubt, they
one might say for way too long. There's this, a pratfall where she falls way too close to a pitchfork that's on the ground. We're like, oh, whoa, she almost died.
Ooh, foreshadowing.
And then I guess she dies off screen
Yeah.
because then it goes back to
Loco.
Ollie and
Oh, yeah.
Loco
Sorry.
who are siphoning gas, and he's like, oh, check on Fox. And then he does.
Yep.
And
Loco goes looking
Forget.
for her, and he finds her impaled by a pitchfork, I believe. I think
Yep.
it's it's one. And then he also gets a pitchfork, goes right through him as well. Then,
and there's a little bit of a cool 3D shot.
yeah, there was.
Followed by another 3D shot that's really not cool, where it's just the pole is sticking out of the camera.
For a long time.
Yeah, a really long time.
So at this point, there's 4 deaths,
Mhm.
right? There's Harold, Edna, Fox, Ali,
Mhm. No,
No,
And
Loco.
Loco. You're right. Yeah.
Loco.
And then
how many
Ellie
of those
goes
are
in
off
to check
screen?
the barn.
Yes. No, only
Yeah.
one of them's off screen. We've seen
Only one is off screen so far.
3 of the deaths.
Okay.
We've seen Edna, Harold, and Loco. The only one we haven't seen is
That's
Fox.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then Ali goes in to check the barn, looking for Fox.
And he gets, presumably at the time, we think his head bashed in, slightly off screen. We will find out later for, I guess, literally a twist just to have a twist. He's not dead, but
Yep.
as of right now, there's literally no reason for you to think he's not dead. But he is presumed
isn't.
dead by no
Presumed
one,
dead.
because no one's presumed dead by us, I guess, because
By me.
these
yeah.
3 characters are literally just introduced to die. They're just death fodder.
Not
Yeah.
just death fodder. Their other function is to make the van malfunction.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
ruin
true.
the
You
gotta have
getaway
the cars.
vehicle.
You are that is
Yeah.
right. I did forget about that, but you are
They do
completely right.
siphon 3 tanks worth of gas, or
Mhm.
3 gas cans worth of gas out of
Yeah.
a van.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the van
lot.
still can go for
Which
a little bit.
apparently, as we find out later, is not all of the gas somehow.
Yeah.
So, really impressive tank on this van.
It's a 20-gallon tank. And those were 5-gallon jugs, and it was full. All right, so we cut to some juggling.
Yeah, we sure do.
At this
And-
point, I believe Andy and Deb decide to go off to do some stuff. harmonica, possibly. We don't know quite yet. But you know, Shelley's juggling. It's impressing.
Yeah.
Vera a little bit. She's like,
He was very impressed by this.
she kind of likes the juggling, but not enough because he tries to be like, hey, can we do something maybe? And he gets rejected, and then just straight up hard be like, just under his breath calls her a B word. A B word. We're good. It's a
classic
good
incel
channel.
move.
Yeah, it's like, she won't sleep with me. I'm angry about it. Seriously?
I was like, all right, cool. If there was ever any sympathy towards Shelley,
that's the moment I lost all sympathy for him. Because before that, you're like, oh, okay, cool. And she's like, hey, we'll talk. I don't want to do that, but we can talk. I want to get to know you better. And he's like, that jerk won't sleep with me. Shut up, Shelley.
Only thing I do like about that scene is that that's like the one scene again where we're reminded that Shelley and Chris, no, Shelley and
Vera,
the other guy, his roommate, are like friends. Andy, yes. I'm sorry, I ruined the podcast.
No, that's fair. No, it's okay.
No, it's okay.
Presence,
but
yeah,
it's hard to remember anyone's names when most
only
of them
reason I remember names on this
halfway through the movie.
The only reason I remember names on this podcast is because I have the notes in front of me. And I'm reading, like, and Andy and Deb play harmonica in the hammock.
That's, like, verbatim what
It is.
Yeah.
No, it is. That's what happened.
It is, yeah.
We cut back to Chris talking with... I wrote talking with Chris, but it's supposed to be talking with Rick. And she tells him how her mom hit her once, and she got really angry, ran outside... And she ran into...
Had an encounter with Jason.
Had an encounter with Jason in the forest, but escaped from him. But now here's the thing. This is something Chris pointed out towards the end of this. She sighs a lot in this scene.
Oh, she sighs a lot.
So we went back...
I was like, oh, that's funny. She's sighing a little bit. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, she sighed like a few times now. I'm like, okay. Well, hold on a minute. Why won't she stop?
So we went back to the beginning of this scene and we rewatched it at 1.5 speed just to count sighs. And rough estimate, because there's a couple like half sighs where you can't quite tell if she's going to. We didn't count all of those ones. 21 times in this 3-minute scene or so, she sighs.
That's a high sigh tally, dude.
Literally one!
In just this short little monologue.
And you could easily argue 23 to 24 that I might have not counted some of them. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, she's got to express her deep, distress in this monologue.
Yeah.
So you got to sigh 21 times. Sometimes consecutively in a row. Just, 3 sighs, one after the other, rapid fire.
So bad.
If she... Okay, I'm gonna assume people that have already seen it I'm gonna assume she's not in a major role in the next movie. And if she is and she sighs a lot, I'm not gonna be able to enjoy it. Once again, because of Chris pointing out something systematic in the movie that I didn't notice before.
To be fair, this character, even though it was only in this scene, I did not notice it in any of our other scenes.
Yeah, I think it was just in that scene with the monologue.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But moving on, we got Chuck. He's making popcorn with chili, and he has to go to the bathroom. So he goes out to the outhouse, and of course, because he's got a one-dimensional character, he has to smoke weed on the toilet. And the outhouse starts shaking, and it starts scaring him. And honestly, he never really shakes this being scared from this. He's scared for the rest of the movie.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's really not that crazy of a thing that happened here, but it kind of changes his character forever.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
But I didn't even really think about it until I'm reading my notes here. I was like, oh yeah, it scared him. And then he doesn't stop at all. He goes back in.
He lives the rest of his life.
He tells Chili about it. And she says, hey, let's go. They both thought it was Shelly at this point. She's like, let's go prank him. Let's go prank him back.
In the murder barn.
Yeah, let's go to that murder barn. Let's prank him back. Before we see what they do, we cut back to Vera, and she's sitting at the dock, and her foot's grabbed by we don't know what, and she's really freaked out by that, because why wouldn't she be? We find out that it's a hockey mask clad figure who with a what is it? What's he holding?
Dive.
Yeah, diving suit and
Dive suit on.
And also, I think he's holding
and a harpoon gun for some reason.
And then it is revealed that it is Shelley, not anyone else. Why would it be anyone else? Come on, this is the third movie in these. I don't know what you're talking about. Why would we think it was anyone but Shelley? Gosh.
But Shelley cries wolf.
Yeah.
A second time.
Yeah. Yeah. Once again, Shelley's. I'm pranking you because that's my thing.
There's no murder here.
I'm a stupid idiot.
For real though. Then she tells him hey, what the crap is with this? And he just straight up breaks down, straight up has depression and definitely needs some therapy about his weight issues because he is no one will ever care about me. I'm a loser. And that's the scene.
The pranks.
And that's why I prank people because I'd rather be a jerk than a nobody.
And in the context of these movies, that's the way that this makes sense because the other love interests in the movie are just entirely flat. They're just all right, that's a boy and he's paired with that girl. And then Shelley's all right, I'm gonna have some dimension.
You know, that is fair. I will say he has more dimension than most of the other guys in this movie. Then we cut back to Vera, and she drops Shelley's wallet into the lake, and it drifts really far down the lake away from where she is before she goes to get it in the next, literally the next cut. It's the same scene.
It's the break.
Yeah.
And then stops. Yeah.
It goes right next to the next scene where it's slightly way further down but not moving anymore. So I don't even know how it drifted that far out.
It's by the shore of the lake.
Because the dock is nowhere to be seen anymore. So it's not even supposed to be close. But that's just nitpicking, really. She goes to grab it, and then she sees the hockey mask. Oh, it's Shelley, what are you doing? Oh, Shelley, stop pointing that harpoon gun at me. Wait. Shelley doesn't wear that outfit. Probably the best kill of the movie. We get the harpoon gun, perfect 3D shot of the harpoon gun, and then it's right through her eye. That was pretty fun.
Dude, yeah. And you gotta wonder, how many times has Jason shot a harpoon gun? I assume...
Probably not ever before.
Never. Dude,
but boy, does he have good aim.
Yep.
He's got talent.
And now we cut back
talent for murder
to Deb. Oh, do we also? Yeah, I mentioned that Jason is now finally wearing the hockey mask and keeps that on pretty much for the rest of the movie. Which hey, it's the hockey mask. Whoa, we all know Jason in the hockey mask because that's Jason's thing. And it took 3 movies to get Jason in that hockey mask.
Well, same deal with Clint Eastwood and that poncho. Good, the bad, and the ugly. That was the third one.
It took till the second movie to even have Jason in it really at all.
That is true.
Yes. That's a good... Yeah.
We cut back to Deb and Andy. They're post-harmonica at this point, and they're having a discussion about if it was... why was it so good? Was it, the
hammock?
It's probably the hammock was the consensus, it seemed.
Really makes it good at harmonica.
Yeah. Then we cut to... She decides to go take a shower. Andy randomly starts walking on his hands.
Yeah, he does.
There's a fake-out scare with him coming to the shower, and he's just his feet, because he's likes to walk on his hands, apparently. He goes to get her a beer, still walking on his hands.
Really? I don't know where he's keeping it, because he comes back.
Yeah, he comes back with presumably the beer.
I guess his foot? He's
still walking on his hands.
Yeah.
And then catches a machete to his crotch.
Straight through the all the way through to the waist. It seemed,
That's pretty medieval.
Yeah. And it was around this point where I realized.
Twain.
Yeah, it was around this point where I realized I like this movie better than 2 because the kills are getting fun. This is crap. It's stupid crap, but I enjoy it. It's fun, stupid crap. Then
I did not feel that way.
Oh, we want different things.
We'll talk about it.
We want different things from these movies. Yeah. You want good acting or some crap. I don't.
No, I wanted good deaths too. I feel like these deaths were not that good, but we'll talk about it.
Deb goes looking for Andy because, of course, everyone has to go looking for someone. I mean, which is fair. In real life, you would, but man, in a horror movie, you go, how are you going to die? If you didn't go looking for him, you might have lived. And she gives up pretty quickly, like, yeah, whatever, and just sits down in the hammock, and we get the repeat, the post harmonica death on a sleeping place, where this time it's the machete goes straight through her, coming through her chest. So that was, it was fun. Not as good as the first one, because they'll never get as good as the Kevin Bacon death.
With Kevin Bacon, yeah.
I mean, maybe it was because of Kevin Bacon's acting, but I don't think it's probably more so just the... Tom Savini did much better work I also think that's the only time Tom Savini's there, and there's a reason he's considered a legend. He is actually... Tom Savini's name is in this movie, because there's an article about him and his, makeup stuff in the Fangoria magazine she's reading.
Yes! That's right, yeah.
So yeah, this is perfect timing to shout out why Tom Savini was awesome, because that death wasn't as good as the one he did in the first one. He might even be back in this for all I know, but it's just he hasn't hit as good as he did in that first one. Then we cut to the lights go out on Chuck and Chili, and Chuck goes to try and turn the lights back on, which is also something you never want to do in a horror movie. Never go fix the lights. You have now separated yourself, and you will die.
It's a fact. It's Newton's law.
I think it's the fifth law, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, then Shelley waddles up to the door with his neck gushing blood. Not quite gushing, but definitely bleeding from the neck. Open. Yeah, and there's a little bit of trickle. They show some. And Chili just shut up, Shelley. Stop! Oh, good for you. Oh, you're pretending to be dead again. I don't care.
Yeah. Which is, fair.
It is. Then we cut back down to Chuck. He is pushed into electrical wires and gets a pretty cool, but not gory at all, but fun, innovative death by getting electrocuted. I think that's the first time we've seen electrocution.
Y'all thought that was a fun death?
I thought it was fun enough. I think it was fun,
but I thought it was creative.
Yeah, I thought it was innovative. I was like, oh, it's cool that it was different. Was it as cool looking as some of the other ones? No. But it was. I liked that they did something different.
That makes sense.
It's better than the last movie, which was literally just machete to the head, back of the machete to the neck.
That was mostly back of the machete to the everything, actually.
Yeah.
It was never the front of the machete to anything.
But he used the machete
first.
Which, to be fair, that is his weapon. I get that. But, there's only so many innovative ways you can kill someone with a machete.
By so many ways, I would beg to say maybe one or two.
Yeah. To the head and to the neck. That's it.
Or chopping somebody from the taint down.
Or, he'd done it with other weapons before, but going through someone completely. This is the first time he did that with the machete, so
Yeah.
Then we cut to Chili. She's looking around, trying to figure out where everyone is. She finds all the dead bodies.
Because she realizes that Shelley is actually dead, and not just playing dead.
And she runs upstairs looking for people, finds Andy and Deb's dead body off screen, but you can tell she's freaked out by what she found in that room. And then I'm
gonna reconsider this because of the size. If I see the size scene again, that's all I'm gonna think about now. But Chili's acting is what made me think that Chris's acting was good. Because I just remember watching Chili acting scared at every turn.
That's fair.
Slow and just so labored, and then Chris, it just felt that was just a breath of fresh air after Chili. I've got to say.
Fair. No, that's fair. I can definitely see that. In context, I can see why you thought Chris was a good actress.
In comparison to all the other garbage in the movie.
Dude, it might just be context.
Yeah, really in comparison, though, to literally the worst actors in the previous two movies, she's still Then we have Chili. After finding all the dead bodies, gets a burning hot fire poker through her. So
Yeah, and then they have the smoke coming off because the steam cools down. Or no, her blood cools down, the red hot fire poker.
Which I thought
quenches the poker.
Which I thought was kind of cool because we've seen Jason stab 50 people at this point. Probably not, but you get the point. We've seen him stab a lot of people it was
At
cool.
least 5.
Yeah, that's fair. I thought we've seen Jason stab enough people where it was like, oh, okay, cool. At least this time it had something different. It was steamy because it was hot. Okay, I like that. It was another one where it's not like it was the coolest thing ever, but just like the electricity, I was like, all right, good on you, filmmakers. You did something slightly different with that one. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Where was it?
Fire pokers. Chili's dead.
Got it.
Rick and...
Yeah, no, yeah. I went too far down, and one of the times I wrote Chris, it looked like Chili, and I was like, Chili did this? What? I thought she already died. When did I write this? No, okay, it does say Chris, though. Rick and Chris return to the camp, and...
On foot.
That's true. They are on foot.
Their car trouble is not explained. It's just... He's got bad luck with his car.
Yeah.
He must be sick.
Rick does...
Well, okay, I guess they leave it on for a long time. That's what it is.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Sure.
I forgot. Yeah.
Rick, he does the classic, because they decided to do 2 of these in one movie. He goes, the lights aren't on, let me go fix them.
Yeah.
Dang it, Rick. We already had one of those. And he is...
He's nabbed by Jason.
He is nabbed by Jason, and she comes out while he's being held, like, literally 5 feet away from her. And what actually might be the best kill of the movie, now that I think about it. He gets this cool skull-crushing scene where his eye pops out in a cool 3D effect. Yeah, I thought that was a fun death, you know? That was a good one.
Dude, that was easily the best death.
Spring-loaded eyeball.
Yeah. Then Chris discovers that there's flooding in the bathroom, which... Remembering the scene before, I guess Jason turned the water back on to hopefully lure people out with the flooding?
Yeah.
And it's full of bloody clothes, and she, speaking to
doesn't really react at all?
To counter Isaiah's point of her being a good actor, she doesn't care.
That's a good... Yeah. He just picks it up and she's like, oh.
Blood.
Cool.
Rick, where are you? Oh, okay. You're not going to really care about the blood? Okay, fine. Okay.
Simultaneously, one of the stupidest final girls we've had yet.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
She then decides to make the... I'll call it the second most stupidest mistake in this movie, because I guess the first one would be 2 people trying to turn the lights on. She's the 3rd person, technically 5th if you count the 3 bikers that all simultaneously all went to the barn. She's the 3rd group of people to go to the barn, because let's go to the barn. I mean, to be fair to all those characters, none of them know that the barn is where everyone's been dying, but I also don't understand why any of them would have thought, let me go to this barn, other than it was a set they had and they decided, let's kill some people at the barn.
Dude, yeah. I don't think it's a character flaw. I think that's just a movie.
Yeah, and actually, to be fair, even to the writers, they did have to get her to the barn for something we will discuss in a moment. There is a reason why her stuff has to happen at the barn.
All right.
She goes towards the barn, and she actually doesn't make it to the barn though, because Loco has been hung up in the tree by Jason and falls down in a jump scare that got me good. Like, that was the only time I've actually been startled by anything in these movies. I was not seeing Loco falling out of the tree like that coming. And that's it. I wrote that down because it got me. It was like, okay.
Oh, yeah. Being there in person, it was great. Austin got jump scared, and I laughed at him.
You know what? We're going to move right along.
That's Chris's sole page of note.
Yeah.
That sentence.
Oh, and 21 size would be Chris's other one.
21 size.
21 size, yep.
We come back inside with her freaking out because she ran back to the house or the cabin, and the wind is on Jason's side. Like, every door or window is blowing open, trying to be part of it. Then Jason takes a page out of his mother's playbook and he throws a dead body of Rick through the window.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where she finds out Rick is dead. Because before that she didn't know. And then we get to her running up the stairs, and she decides to push over a bookcase onto the stairs, which just dropped a bunch of books on his head.
And it works.
It did.
For a little bit.
It did work.
It doesn't just hit him
he
like
falls over
defends it. He just like kind of crumples after those books hit him.
after getting hit in the head by a singular book, and then kind of like hit lightly by a couple other ones.
Books.
Yeah.
I don't like to read.
Yeah, Jason's second weakness next to chairs is some books.
Word. Yeah.
Then we we then play hide and seek, because that's one of the tropes / designs of this movie is the final girl plays hide and seek with Jason. They run away, they hide, which I get it, but it just maybe, to be fair, if I was watching these movies years apart like they came out, maybe I wouldn't have felt this way, but as watching this a third week in a row, I'm like, oh cool, she's gonna go hide again. Cool.
The thing I will say about watching these like in series is that it's almost like each final girl, at least in some degree, I might disagree about her, which I can understand, but they seem to like know a little bit more than the last one.
No.
Because when she was hiding in the closet, I could just remember our first final girl hiding in the pantry, and the minute she hears a hand touch that doorknob, she just like goes berserk and chimps out in the closet, makes all kinds of noise.
See, I was on board saying that what's her name? Chris is probably the smartest final girl in some ways, but I would argue she literally did the exact opposite of what you're saying in that specific scene. She starts freaking out and yelling.
But she she realized, oh, I shouldn't do this.
I guess.
But she makes an effort to quietly close the door.
But then she finds Deb's body and starts screaming.
She does.
Yeah, that does happen.
Yeah. Like, she didn't even, go, she was like, ah! It's like, okay, really? You know he's right outside the door. Why are you yelling over this? He might have somehow not realized you were there.
Yeah.
That totally does draw him in, yeah.
And now he finally does have an axe, so now he is the axe.
He is an axe-wielding thing. They must have... The news reporters actually saw the script for this movie.
And base their news report off of it.
Yeah. Then he eventually cuts a hole through the door with the axe, and she stabs him in the hand with the knife.
With a knife that she pulled from Deb.
Yeah. Then she tries to stab him 5 more times, and he just kind of jukes out of the way really well.
Very casually just...
Stop it.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
While walking backwards.
Yeah.
Very slowly.
Yeah. And then eventually she does get him in the knee with it. And then rather than trying to go for some sort of killing blow there, or even running away immediately, she kind of stares at him for a little bit and then decides to run away. And she uses
final girl thing.
Yeah, she uses Jason's weakness, a chair, but rather than on him, she throws it through a window.
Forgot.
And then she tries to escape through the window, but he catches her, and she would have got her, but she apparently has a cheap coat on, and it rips really quickly just from hold. I mean, I don't know. I guess coats aren't meant to hold someone's body weight, but I still feel like it just tore to shreds.
I think most coats would hold somebody's body weight, to be honest.
Especially when it's a girl. Here's the thing: if it was fat old Shelly, sure, it would have ripped immediately.
Rick said that she's been getting heavier.
That is true.
That's why he said it. It was foreshadowing.
Oh my gosh! It was set up that she's fat.
Yeah.
You're right.
It is an important detail to establish.
I take back calling it a cheap jacket. It's just that she's fat.
That's it. Yeah.
She tries to escape in the van, but she makes it a little bit of the way, but can't actually escape because of the gas siphoning earlier.
Yeah, debatably too far for
way too far.
All of almost, or probably what should have been all of the gas from the van siphon.
You understand. And she gets onto the bridge, and right as the gas stops working, the bridge starts to break. But it has a reserve gas tank, so she's saved, right? No, the bridge is broken just enough that she can no longer escape, and Jason is now here trying to get her through the window. And she closes the window on him. Quite smart. What I'm going back to earlier, she is smarter. She knows, let me close this window on his hands, then he won't be able to get me.
This is after she ambushes him with a log.
Yeah, no, that's true. I forgot
unlike Shelley does with the biker gang, actually sees him in the road and thinks, I'm going to run this guy over.
Yeah.
Whereas,
he does a cool dive
in the
out
same
of the way.
movie earlier. Yeah.
You're right. She is, in some ways, smarter. In other ways, just as stupid. Because she is the final girl, so she has to keep getting in situations. She can't just handedly win in her first encounter, because then the movie ends, which I would welcome. So now she runs away, and she goes to the stupid barn again, is my exact note here, because everyone goes to the barn, and while she's in the barn and he's trying to break into the barn, she somehow, within less than 30 seconds, she's shimmied into the rafters.
Yeah.
Like a ninja.
Yeah, way too quickly and impressively for the character we've seen of her to know to go over the rafters like that. No, not believable.
Don't worry, because she does fall from the rafters shortly afterwards.
I think that was on purpose, though. I can't tell if she was slipping or...
It's hard to tell.
Yeah. That might have been
looks like
deliberate.
she goes from just slipping to oh, well, I guess I'm going to fall on him now.
Yeah.
Before that, Jason is taking out his anger on the barn, though. I did write that down and just thought to mention it. He, just can't find her, so he's like, I'll just break everything. It's all right, Jason. Jason needs to work through his anger issues. He needs to go to therapy with Shelly.
Chairs around. He does hate chairs.
Yeah, he does toss some chairs around. I forgot about that. She then hits him with a shovel, and then she ties a rope around his neck that we saw earlier, and she hangs him. And, he's dead.
And the movie's over.
Why wouldn't you think he was dead? He's obviously dead. He was hung. His neck should have broke from that fall.
Yeah, really should have.
But he's not. She opens the door and he's still hanging there, but he looks at her, starts pulling himself up, shows his face,
lifts up his mask, and goes,
"Hey, it's me, it's Jason."
On the way there, the rope pulls his mask, and he's like, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah, it's Jason. Put his mask back on. Here's the thing. I know I was like, "Oh, why care?" in the last movie, I think it was, and you're like, "Oh, well, it's this literature thing." Him showing his face like this was stupid.
Yeah, and it didn't feel accidental. I had to reason out
he straight up goes
okay.
He practically winks at the camera.
Yeah. Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he shows his face for no reason, and then out of nowhere, also for no reason, Ali's back. He's not dead.
Yeah.
He
then he goes to bop Jason and then gets his hand cut off with a machete.
Yeah, and then Jason murders him with the machete. Maybe, or he's alive still because he lived through the last attack. Who knows? No, actually,
he's the final girl.
The cops do say later that everyone else is dead. So they obviously, if he's alive, he had to have escaped on his own. So I'm assuming he is dead. And while Ali is distracting him, Chris is able to axe Jason in the head. So that's pretty cool. And he doesn't look like he's dead for a little bit there. He still comes after her, and then I guess it was enough, and he just said, I'm done, and he fell down.
Yeah. We get a really cool shot of Jason going, and then he falls over.
Yeah. And then Chris decides to go to the lake for some reason, because we wanted to bring that characteristic back from Alice from the first movie.
Dude, I know.
You survive the encounter. What better way than to spend the entire night at the place where everything happened?
Yep. And she goes out into the middle of the lake and takes a nap. Then wakes up, and oh my god, Jason's alive inside the cabin. He's coming for her. And wait, no, he's not alive. The door he just broke isn't broken. Huh. Mrs. Voorhees grabs her from behind, pulls her into the water. But probably not, actually.
Yeah, that's almost definitely not.
Yeah, she's just crazy, because the cops show up and, she's straight up crazy now, laughing at the barn, and Jason's still dead in the barn. They give a really long shot. Just like the last movie with a really long shot in her head, where you're like, oh, she's going to wink at us or something. There's a really long shot of Jason where you're like, okay. Is he going to, move, twitch, so we know he's coming back?
Nope.
No. All right, let's cut. You know what? Fine. Let's cut to the lake so we can see Mrs. Voorhees pop out again. No, nothing.
Just the lake.
Just some gentle burbling.
Yep, movie's over. The end. She's crazy. Yeah. Final thoughts.
10 out of 10.
I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10. My final thoughts, though, is I don't like it as much as the first one. I think there's a reason the first one spawned a series. This one is, in my opinion, better than 2, because both 2 and 3 are much worse movies, in my opinion, than 1. but at least 3 went, let's have some crazy deaths. I think there's about 4 or so really good deaths and a couple other okay ones in this movie, in my opinion. So I liked it more than 2, but less than 1. I thought it was fun. Here's the thing. I will probably never watch this movie again. I might if I ever buy 3D glasses. I might watch it once in 3D just to watch it in 3D. But I don't see myself.
In your face.
Yeah, I don't see myself watching this movie again. But it was an okay experience for the most part. I didn't really start disliking the movie until the Lord of the Rings-esque 7 endings. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I would say I didn't really start enjoying this movie till about the last 30 minutes when people started dying, because the rest of the movie took forever. All of the acting was terrible.
Yeah.
I hated most of the movie, and then people started to die. I was like, all right, nice. And everything else was insufferable to sit through. So yeah, super glad that we got through it, and that I don't have to watch this ever again.
It's fair. That's a fair reaction. Isaiah.
I feel the same way a little bit. I was hoping this would be a kind of a Shrek 3, and it turned out to be more of a Godfather 3. And like Chris, something that I liked about the first movie, and I think I might have mentioned it for the second, I can't quite remember, was that things started happening really quickly, and all the deaths are really paced out, and it just jumped into the conflict as soon as possible, which was unexpected and just like plain entertaining. And this one was winding up for a long time.
Yeah, it definitely has pacing issues. I'll give you that. That is a fair criticism for sure.
My first impression when I watched this movie about the deaths was I'm not impressed with these deaths. The electrocution just wasn't that striking. And some of the others were off screen. Maybe they just felt to me like they're off screen. I don't know, but I feel like Austin convinced me that these are more varied than the last one, and I think I've kind of turned my opinion on that. Like, I'll give him points for that. That they had some depth, creativity, even if they weren't as visually just visually cool.
Oh, the first one still has the best deaths for sure.
Yeah, I think that's indisputable.
Yeah.
But I was thinking they ripped off a death from the first one with the stabbing through the neck from the back, and off-screen death for Fox. And anyway, but yeah, I think you're right that the deaths are a little bit more creative in this one, so that's cool. Now that you pointed that out to me, I think that seems about right. But I like Chris as a final girl. I think she's all right.
Thanks.
The sighing is gonna make me reconsider that. If I ever see this again, I'm only gonna be thinking about that sighing.
Oh, but, it's rough. That scene is rough.
Yeah, overall, 21 size out of 10. You'll never watch this again.
Well, the only thing that bothers me is that her backstory starts out making sense. She had an encounter with Jason, but then she says, and I woke up not knowing what happened. So Jason knocked her out and then peacefully let her live.
Yeah.
And it'd be one thing if she fled from Jason and now Jason is back to finish what he started.
No.
Because that's the only reason why Jason is there, other than just his mindless lust for blood, I guess. He likes to kill now. But she was the connection. Okay, Jason is here because of her now. That seemed to be the implication. But there was no reason it doesn't make any sense.
Let her live?
Yeah, we don't know why he did. That's never explained. It seems like it would make more sense if she had just outmaneuvered him and gotten away, and now he's trying to, finish a job and kill her. That would have made more sense to me.
I'm going to point out another flaw that I just thought of. When did that happen?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Jason's first killing of what we've seen was
the last movie. So unless that happened,
Easy boy.
Unless that happened, I guess after he killed first girl. Because I guess that was true. There, he was on the loose for 3 years there. Isn't it it's 2 months before the first scene of the last movie, and then 3 years before the next scene.
I think 5 years.
Whatever, but there's to be fair,
years.
there are a few years for him to have maybe randomly walked past this girl after starting the process of killing her.
And then he's just I'm gonna say he has to have a motive.
No.
He's a mindless killer. but that seemed to be like what they're shooting for.
I
like,
definitely agree that the big problem with this movie is that they tease there being more importance to things when they had no actual intention of delivering.
Yeah. I think it's perfectly fine for, a Friday the 13th movie to just be, Jason killing people because he kills people.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to have this backstory for the main character. And then also having it have, like, a huge plot hole in it.
Yeah.
Could just be like, oh yeah, Jason's here to kill people like he always is.
That's totally satisfying. It's like, Jason's killing.
Mm-hmm.
He's back at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think all of the audience would have been able to accept that. But, no. We're not allowed to have that.
Especially because it would have been so easy for there not to have been that. It's literally the next day on the same lake. He just stumbled upon him. He's ready to kill some more. Like, they didn't need any reason. Like, if this was even a little bit later, they could maybe need a reason to explain why he's there. But it's like, he's the same lake a day later.
He's been killing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he do more killing? I mean...
He's got momentum, he's keeping it going.
Yeah, but, it is what it is. That is part 3, 3D. Not part 3D, as it should have been called. No. But next week, we will be watching part 4.
D, right? No?
I believe it's
haven't
called...
figured out the fourth dimension of movies?
Let me look what it... I'm trying to remember exactly what it's called. I want to make sure I give it the right name. Oh, crap, I already put it away.
Is...
Friday the 14th.
No, it's like part
Sunday
4,
the 15th.
The Final Friday.
Oh.
Is this the last one?
On a Friday,
No.
on Sunday.
No. I will little peek behind the curtain. There are 2 movies that have either the final... Actually, it's part 4, the final chapter. There's also part 9, which is called The Final Friday. And then there is Jason X after that. So, yeah, we're watching the first of 2 ends to this franchise. And neither of them were the ends of the franchise. See you next week.
All right, there we go, yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.